Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast. What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah, and we have a lot to talk about because we have a fusion episode of the ODPH podcast this week. So that means we're talking a whole parlay of topics, not just sports, not just entertainment, but we're mixing everything up to give you one solid episode covering everything that you need to know about in pop culture and beyond. So we definitely have a lot to go over in this episode, and we want to keep that conversation rolling after the show. So, Pat, where does everybody go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Go over to the website after the show. Make sure you sign up on all the social media accounts. We're definitely interacting with everybody and keeping those conversations rolling through episodes, which we love doing. Also, check out the TeePublic store link. It's Memorial Day weekend here in the States, so obviously there probably is going to be something going on there. So if you want to go get some ODPH swag for the summertime, perfect time to do it. Also, check out the Patreon link, one tier, $2 a month. Shout out to all our amazing patrons. They just got their bonus episode this month of breaking down the Eisner Awards.
Hey.
So the nominations came out, obviously, for San Diego Comic-Con's biggest show. A case of, honoring the best of the best in comics. So I kind of gave my thoughts and opinions of the categories this year. So if you want to hear it, you're only going to hear it on Patreon. So you have to sign up for the Patreon. And like I say, join all the rest of the cool kids.
Tom Taylor for everything.
Well, like I say, you have to listen to the episode and find out, Pat.
Okay.
But that being said, though, we also have comic book reviews galore on the blog section right now, which we might have some more stuff coming through the weekend, too, so you have to stay tuned. Yeah, just like I say, we have some stuff in the works, but I can't get into too much right now. Also, the directory. Pat, how many providers are we on?
We are on 961,975.
I don't question him, folks. He is the statistician that stars for a reason. So we have links to all the major podcast players. So if you want to hear it on Apple Podcasts, you want to hear it on Spotify, you want to hear it on iHeartRadio and beyond, we have links right there on that page. You can go sign up, subscribe, do the thing, and make sure you're not missing 1 minute of content here at the ODPH. Also, check out the classified section, which has friends of the show, such as 3FM Podcasts, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, and many more. Also, check out the music section, especially with summertime kicking off here in the United States. You're going to need something for that big barbecue.
Yeah.
You're going to need something for the cookouts.
Going to the beach, you got going down the highway, you need something for the road.
Exactly. So definitely make sure to go check out Brian Wolf and the Howlers, Tom Jolu, Second Suitor, Shout Out the Robots, Floodlands, the list goes on and on. Basically, if it's anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. And always remember on social media, if you're using hashtags, well, use the hashtag ODPHpod. So let's kick off this episode recapping probably the biggest thing going on in sports right now.
Yeah.
And that is what, Pat?
The NBA playoffs. We are one step closer to the NBA finals, which, spoiler alert, start on June 6th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. That is just, actually, as we record, that is 2 weeks from today.
It's crazy to think
Wild.
about. Yeah. But the action has been picking up left and right, and we're getting a more clear picture about who's going to be in the finals. A couple upsets here, so we definitely have to deep dive into it and give some thoughts on that. So, Pat, let's do it.
Yeah, so why don't we talk about how we got here with the conference finals. We'll start in the West, where in the semifinals round, you had the Dallas Mavericks, 5th seed, knock off the 1-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder, 4-2, entering, I should say, the Western Conference Finals.
This was a very fun series, but this is something that I think we alluded to a little bit on the show.
Age versus youth.
Yeah, Oklahoma City with SGA and, the talented roster that they have.
Yeah.
Gave it their all, but this was a situation that Kyrie Irving took over. His playoff experience really spoke volumes. Him and Luka Doncic just really went crazy here.
Yeah, I mean, you especially when you consider Kyrie been to the playoffs, God knows how many times, won an NBA Finals, in whatever it was with Cleveland and LeBron. Luka, a lot of experience in the NBA, international player, played a bunch overseas. So those guys have got experience for days.
Yeah. So, when you factor all that in, this went, I would say maybe how we thought it was going to go. I mean, Oklahoma City was playing great, But in those last couple games, they really showed some youthful mistakes, especially a foul late in the final minute that really kind of threw everything in the flux. So unfortunately for them, they're not going to be going on any further in this journey. However, they are going to be back. And this is one of those situations where losing in this situation is not, it's bad, but it's not the worst thing for a young team. It
sucks and it hurts if you're a fan of the team or you're a player on that team. But in all honesty, it's a good motivating factor. It's a good learning experience. You know, you get to the dance and you want to be there for the final song. But unfortunately, you know, hey, your ride came early and you got to head home. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But like you said, Thunder will be back there. This isn't a one and done. This isn't, you know, a Cinderella story where it's like, oh, hey, they made it once and they'll never make it back again. No, that team's just too good. They just need a little more experience.
Fully agree about that.
And then they will be facing on the other side, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the 3 seed, who knocked off the defending champs, the Denver Nuggets, who were the 2 seed, 4-3.
Anthony Edwards.
Oh, brother.
He literally is conjuring the ghost of Michael Jordan in the playoffs. He is going in there with a mentality that literally is wielding his team to win.
He is the face of the NBA.
Yeah, no question about it.
Like, don't get me wrong. That's no disrespect to LeBron. That's no disrespect to Curry or any of the other players who've been around a few years. But Anthony Edwards is him.
Yeah, a star is born.
Oh.
If you are not familiar with him, trust me, he's making a legacy in these playoffs.
Look up a highlight reel package on YouTube. I'm sure there's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's giving great sound bites. Like, he is the star I think the NBA has been waiting for in quite some time.
Was he the one, or was it Gobert who said to Charles Barkley, who they got interviewed after the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets in Game 7, and Barkley admitted to them, he's like, listen, I haven't been to Minnesota in a while.
It was Edwards.
Was it? And Edwards said to Barkley, roll through then.
Yeah.
Come through.
Yeah. He
said other things, but I'm giving the PG-friendly version.
Right. He is somebody that just really wants to win, and he's making a point to give that feeling that he wants to stay in Minnesota and make a championship there.
And I love his mentality, because they had the press conference after the game, and I understand what the one reporter was trying to ask them, but he was bringing up how, you know, a lot of teams will face some adversity to get there. And like, I understood what the reporter was trying to say, but he just wasn't phrasing it in the right way. But they both looked at him and went, what do you mean? We lost last year. This franchise and these fans have been losing for like 20 years now. Mm-hmm. They're like, what do you mean we didn't lose? We haven't faced adversity.
Yeah. No, I love the mentality he's doing. And like I say, he's the star the NBA has been waiting for.
Yeah.
Because obviously LeBron is getting up there in age.
LeBron ain't got a lot of years left.
Steph Curry, same thing. Kevin Durant arguably has fallen off
Harden,
a bit.
Russell.
Yeah. I mean, it's a situation where you're having these new stars emerge.
Yeah.
And for Minnesota, who is considered a small market team, this is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And Anthony Edwards is proving it on the court, especially in that Game 7 that they forced.
Yeah.
And they came back from a 20-point second-half deficit.
Whoa.
Like, to put that in perspective,
yeah,
Jokic and everybody from Denver was penciled in to go right to the finals.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Timberwolves came back and literally punched them in the mouth on their home court is absolutely insane to think
it's a
about.
credit to them and a credit to the way that team is built.
Yeah. And Edwards, like,
because you think about it, you're in the playoffs, you're going up against the defending champs at home or on the road. If we're talking, if you're on Minnesota, but you're on the road in the defending champs home court in Game 7. Like me, I'm a little nervous. I'm going to be like, oh shit, like I'm confident we can do this, but there's a part of me that's scared. They did not care.
No, they played with no fear, and it showed. Edwards really took to task, slowing down Jamal Murray, which, listen, if you can slow him down, you have a very good chance of defeating Denver. I mean, Jokic, obviously 3-time MVP, but still he can only do so much. And plus, there was a lot of help going to Edwards too.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns had a great game, and like I say, when you can start piecing this together, they really feel like they have a chance to win, and it's huge. So to get a new team in, especially in a spotlight where they're not afraid of it. They're
Yeah.
embracing it. They're
Yeah.
they're being very social media savvy
Yeah.
in every action they take. That is going to bring more fans to the game, and especially
Yeah.
now where the storylines, quote unquote, are really interesting, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm.
To see now how this is going to shape up for the Western Conference, I'm not doubting by the time this is all said and done, Minnesota might punch their ticket to the finals.
I could see it. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see just because there isn't, when you look at the 4 teams that are in the conference finals, there isn't one matchup that you're like, ooh, that could be awesome. Like if the Lakers were still in on the other side, we'd be sitting on the prospect of another Lakers-Celtics matchup. On the other side, if it was like the Knicks, you're like, oh shit, like the Knicks have the potential to make it there for the first time in 30 some odd years, whatever it is. There's still good matchups, but there's not that like sizzle that like if you got like a sizzling platter at a restaurant and the waiter or waitress brings it out and you hear it walking by, you kind of go, whoa, that looks kind of good. They're still good meals. They're still good, platters. Just there's not that sizzle to them.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say with the Minnesota-Denver series, Mike Malone, the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, do better. That his comments after Game 7, where the reporter was asking a perfectly legitimate question, what's your feelings and how you feeling after it? What was it, like the biggest lead in NBA playoff history that got blown or something like that? Like your team blew you. How you feeling? And he called it a stupid question and dropped an F-bomb and said next question.
Well, I mean,
just do better.
I can understand the frustration because,
sure.
And this is unfortunately this is a downside of sports media.
Yeah,
because I understand his argument.
Sure.
I do, but
I did too.
It is a legit question, and it's something that we've seen and time again in sports. Like time and place is so key.
Yeah,
but somebody wanted to ask, and it's. Would I have done it?
No.
But I understand why he did it, the reporter.
Oh, I do too.
So like I say, I get it, but I also understand why the coach acted like he did.
Oh, I do too.
It's just one of those situations that
just do better.
I mean, you can do better, but obviously, it's like I would just say, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
What do you want me to say?
As reference for future, I would go back and look at whatever the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons said after that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean that's
a good reference point for what to say because as a Patriots fan, I do not remember what he said, but I know people weren't talking about it in the same way that they were talking about Mike Malone.
Well, all you can say is,
"Hey, it sucks, but we'll use it as motivation for next year."
Yeah, be like we were outclassed.
Find screenshots of the game at halftime, and then or the score, I should say, and then put that up on the bulletin board. Or the whiteboard or the projection board, whatever you want to put it up on.
Sure.
And then right next to it, put up the final score.
Well,
boom, all the motivation you need.
I think this will be a true test of what Denver's made of for next season.
Yeah.
Because coming back from a loss like this, they're going to want. I would assume if
spotlight will be on them.
If they have any self pride about this, they're going to want to really make a statement saying that this was a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that you need to have a mentality. Okay, we lost. It's on to next season. How can we be better? How do we prepare better?
Yeah.
And I think that they honestly were taken off guard.
I think so.
By Minnesota because Minnesota literally is playing with no fear.
Yeah.
And even though in the game 1 against Dallas, Anthony Edwards was taking on Kyrie Irving. He's pushing him, and even like they said, okay, you got this one, but we're going to be back. Like they're not backing down from Denver or Dallas, I should say.
That's going 7 games.
Oh yeah, that's going to be easy 7. And I love Kyrie Irving said too. He was like, I rose to the challenge. He's like,
he's been there.
He's challenging me, and I like this, and this is where we're going to go. And I know
it's going to be a fun series.
Yeah, they're going to have a really fun series. I still like Minnesota in 7 in that.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
But it's going to go 7 games regardless. I don't think this is going to be a sweep by any imagination.
No. Then on the Eastern side, you had the 1-seeded Boston Celtics defeating the 4-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers 4-1. Not really surprised to anybody. I figured it would have gone an easy sweep if Cleveland pulled off one game. It wouldn't have surprised me. And Cleveland did. They had a really incredible 3-point shooting night, the one game they won. And then Boston had an average night, but when you were shooting the way Cleveland was for 3-pointers, kind of hard to keep up with that.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? I mean, Cleveland
overachieved.
Yeah, they overachieved. I agree with you.
The fact that they, 1, made it into the playoffs, 2, made it into the conference semifinals.
Well, I expected them in the playoffs. But I think that when they really struggled against Orlando to get out of the first round, that was a more telling sign. Donovan Mitchell was not healthy in the series, and obviously he could not go for the final game. It was a situation in this case where Boston is just leaps and bounds better than anybody else in the East right now. So there was no chance really. I thought for Cleveland, maybe sneaking out a game, but Boston was going to lock it in. Boston has more pressure on them than anybody in the conference right now.
Yeah.
Easily.
I mean, Brian Windhorst literally called it on First Take a couple weeks ago, where he said, listen, if Cleveland wants to pull out at least a game, they're going to have, he said it on, I can't remember, I think it was Pat McAfee's show. He said if Cleveland wants to pull out at least one game, they got to have an incredible 3-point shooting night. You know, and he goes, they're about due for one. And literally that same night, they had the incredible 3-point shooting night, which, hey, kudos to them. They pulled off a win against the Boston Celtics, you know, the presumptive choice everyone's got for winning the whole dance this year. But you know what? You didn't win this year. Maybe you'll get back there next year.
Well, I think Cleveland will have a lot more complications for next season.
Yeah, that could be.
They just fired their head coach.
Oh, yikes.
And now this will tie into where we're going to go next with the Eastern Conference.
Okay.
There is a lot of trade talk involving Donovan Mitchell, who rumor has it is not staying in Cleveland next year.
I can see it.
Which he had been leaning that he was not going to be making a permanent home in Cleveland.
Sure.
That his dream has always been to play in New York. And I don't know if he's going to wind up there. I've heard rumors of him getting traded to Miami.
Oh.
I've heard rumors of him getting traded to the Lakers, but I've heard those have cooled down.
Okay.
So I mean, if
Lakers got to get a head coach first.
Well, yeah, Lakers definitely have to do a lot, but the Cavaliers though did fire JB Bickerstaff today, which I know is a little shocking per se, but in 4 or 5 seasons he's been there, they've only gotten so far.
Yeah.
And it's not to say he's a bad coach. I really think he is a good coach.
He was trying to make chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what.
Well, he had a lot of young talent there that he got going in the right direction. Donovan Mitchell was supposed to put him over the top. It hasn't happened. And I still think Cleveland's missing a couple pieces from really making that deep run.
Yeah.
However, I think whatever goes on this summer with Donovan Mitchell, it will be interesting to see if he's in a Cavaliers jersey. And if not, I think Cleveland would be smart about what they get back for him.
Yeah, looking at his record for the technically 5 seasons he coached with them, but that first one was like an interim thing. The first season he was the guy that had coaching duties was in the 2019-2020 season. That was only for 11 games, 5 and 6. Okay. Then the first full year he was the head coach with them. He had a record of 22 and 50. Then they missed the playoffs both those first 2 years, by the way. Then in the 2021-22 season, finished 44 and 38, third in the Central, missed the playoffs that year. Then you get to last season where he was 51 and 31, so about 500, second in the Central, and then lost in the first round. And then you get to this year where they finished 48 and 34, second in the Central, and lost in the conference semifinals.
Yeah. So what are you going to say?
I kind of equate it to Mark Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, got him set up, got him going, but then unfortunately got the axe prematurely.
Well, yeah, I would say with Mark Jackson, that one definitely stings a little bit. But I will say this. Steve Kerr has always acknowledged Jackson put that team together.
Oh, yeah, he has.
So there has never been a moment where anybody has forgotten what he's done there.
Right.
So in this situation, yeah, Cleveland wants to make a change. I don't necessarily know who would step in right now. I
know JJ Redick's name's getting thrown around for half a dozen teams.
Yeah, he's the hot name right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, him and Cleveland.
Jeff Van Gundy ain't doing anything these days.
Well, like I say, Van Gundy. I don't know if he wants to go.
Van
Cleveland.
Gundy's available.
I could see Stan going, but I think JJ. It wouldn't shock me if he wound up there.
No,
I think he has a better chance, though. In all honesty, as crazy as it might sound, I could see him winding out in Los Angeles. I could see him out there. He has a very high basketball IQ.
He does.
So with him, with LeBron and Anthony Davis, and depending on what they want to do with trades and such, they could make something happen there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm just saying if I have to make a guess right now, Cleveland I could see happening, but I treat that more as a leap. I think the Lakers might be more of a lock there.
Okay. And then on the other side, the one I know you're done. You had
I have to address it.
the 6th-seeded Indiana Pacers knock off the 2-seeded New York Knicks 4-3, moving on to face the Boston Celtics in the conference finals, where currently, as we record, Boston is up 1-0. Game 2 is tonight as we record, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN.
Well, this one is very simple. Injuries.
Yeah.
You can't tell me otherwise. I'm sorry. Tyrese Halliburton is a good player. He's great, I should say. But if this New York Knicks lineup was healthy, and I'll even say this.
Okay.
If OG Anunoby was healthy for Game 7, they're winning Game 7 easy.
Okay.
The problem is the Knicks ran out of gas with their bench players really trying to overachieve.
Yeah.
Their starters were banged up.
Weren't they down like 4 starters?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
If you look at some of their lineups and some of the guys they had as starters during the regular season, 4 of them were out by the time Game 7 took place.
Well, think about this. Julius Randle goes down midseason.
Yeah, there's 1.
Mitchell Robinson hurts his ankle, gets surgery done.
2.
Josh Hart pulls his abdomen, does something weird there. He's not 100%.
3.
OG.
4.
Jalen Brunson.
5.
I know I'm missing one more, too.
Yeah.
But when you put this in perspective, they did the best they could.
Yeah.
But in that Game 6, they looked awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they got, what did they get, run out of the building by like 40?
Yeah, they were down bad. Indiana came back, obviously, on the brink of elimination, and they came out blazing hot.
Yeah.
And they were nailing pretty much everything they could.
Yeah.
So I wasn't super shocked at that because what Rick Carlisle and the team have there, they're a solid team. Mm-hmm. They're not exactly pushovers.
No.
But in comparison to the Knicks, they're not on that level.
Game 6 was a 116-103 victory.
Right. And honestly, the Knicks could have came back more, but they didn't.
Sure.
We get to Game 7, and Indiana does something that has never been done in NBA history, too.
Mm-hmm.
Their field goal percentage
fucking astronomical.
Was 73%, if memory serves me right. Because I'm
pulling it up right now. So the field goal percentage ended up being for Indiana 67.1. But I think at one point you were correct. At one point it was in the low 70s.
Yeah, it was in the first quarter.
Yeah,
first half.
First half, and then for the game they had a 3-point percentage of 54.2. So they were nailing over half of their threes.
Yeah.
Couple that with the fact that the Knicks shot 42% from the field and 37% from the threes. Now, I think you definitely got to chalk some of this up to the Knicks being injured. There's no way, pick your sport, you can go down that many starters, and I don't care how great of a next man up mentality you got. Eventually, the body blows just get to be too much on the boxer, and the boxer's body gives out. But at the same token, I think we definitely got to give their flowers to Indiana because I don't care how many guys you got down starting. If the other team's not scoring and the other team's not putting up offense, it don't mean shit.
Well,
but I think so. I definitely think it's equal parts. Yes, the Knicks were hurt, and yes, that did contribute to them losing the game because, like I said, when you lose that many starters, the ship is taking on too much water, and it's just way too much for it to handle. But at the same token, Indiana, kudos to you for the offensive performance you put on. I thought you could contend. I didn't think you'd be able to pull it off.
They needed that game to be perfect, and they like I say, it couldn't have lined up better for them.
Yeah.
On Game 7.
Yeah.
The minute OG went down in the first 5 minutes after he tried coming back from his hamstring,
right?
The Knicks were in trouble, legit trouble, and they were down big early too.
Yeah.
They scrapped back in that third quarter to get down by 6. But then sloppy ball handling came into play, and that really was almost the proverbial nail in the coffin. Then once Brunson broke his hand, it was done.
That was it.
DiVincenzo did all he could.
Yeah,
and I'm not mad about him trying to get his team back into something. But when Indiana is shooting that well, and literally anything they're throwing up is going in.
The entire starting 5 for the Indiana Pacers was in double digits.
Yeah.
Siakam had 20, Naismith had 19, Turner had 17, Nembhard had 20, and Halliburton had 26.
Yeah.
Like, you can weather the storm on 2, 3 guys getting double figures, and even 4 if you're talking like around 10.
Mm-hmm.
All 5, forget about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. This was a perfect game for Indiana. I will give them that.
Yeah.
They came in and they did an excellent game plan, and they did what they needed to do to win. And they made a lot more shots that, honestly, I think on any different night, half of them would not have gone in.
Maybe.
But they showed up, they rose to the challenge, and the Knicks honestly gave it their all.
Yeah.
But I will stand on this. I think if the lineup was healthy, no way that happened.
Yeah, no, it's if you got the 4, 5, 6, however many guys it was that were injured, it's going to be a different outcome.
If you gave me a healthy OG and a healthy Brunson and a healthy Josh Hart, they're winning the game by 10.
Yep. Yeah.
I'll already tell you right now.
Probably.
But Indiana did what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Now the question mark goes to the Knicks.
Okay.
They do have some free agents next season. Hartstein is one. There's a question mark about Randall and Jalen Brunson, if he wants to wait for a max extension. I've heard he's willing to take a discount to get some players in there or keep the team together. Which, if that is true, he's already a New York Knicks legend right now. His jersey will go up in the rafters even if they don't win, if he did that.
Right.
But this is a situation for the Knicks that they need to piece what they need together. Is Donovan Mitchell the missing piece? We've heard Devin Booker wants out of Phoenix and wants to go to New York. What's the asking price there? Julius Randle, is he due for a max extension as well?
Right.
Do you pay him?
Right.
Pat, I'll ask you, what do you think the Knicks' play is here?
I mean, I honestly think the Knicks need something else. I think you got to keep Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is the spark that gets that team going.
Yeah, he's not leaving.
He's got to stay. You got to figure something out, though, because you look at the team you had, and you contended very well. I pulled it up on Spotrac. The free agents the New York Knicks have this offseason. OG Anunoby, Alec Burks, Hartenstein, Precious Achua, Jericho Sims, Daquan Jeffries, Shake Milton, Jacob Toppin, Charlie Brown Jr., and Dwayne Washington Jr., with a whole host of club options, unrestricted free agents with non-bird. There's an unrestricted free agent early bird. There's an unrestricted free agent bird, restricted free agent two-way on a couple guys. I'm not going to go through it all. You can look it up yourself.
Right.
But the Knicks definitely need to add somebody, and I think they need to add at least one other star on the starting 5, whoever that is. It can be Mitchell, it can be Booker. They need somebody of that level to join them, because while you don't need a big 3 caliber a la Miami when it was LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, it doesn't hurt to have 3 great players on your starting 5. I think they also need to have somebody on the bench coming off the bench as a 6-man, just because and now I know the argument and I know the discussion people have with Thibodeau and his minutes thing. And
it's fine.
Does he run guys too much? I looked it up. I pulled it up on basketballreference.com a couple days ago, and of the top 100 players who played, in minutes from most to least, the Knicks had like 2 or 3 in the top 100.
Yeah.
So it's not the top starting 5, but you do need, I feel, with the Knicks, you do need somebody to come off the bench and give them that spark. When, let's face it, they're running on fumes. They're running down. They're like, shit, we're playing, our third game of the week here in the first 4 days, and we're exhausted. I think they do need, so like I said, I think they do need another starter, Mitchell, Booker, whoever, and then they need to get somebody to come off the bench and give them a spark.
Well, that's what I heard about trading quickly to Toronto for OG.
Okay.
Because he was the guy. So I do agree with you. I think the Knicks need to retool the bench, but it's a real tough question mark about the starting lineup. Because Randall is a big X factor.
Right. Which one are you getting?
Yeah. If he's
which again, I realize a lot of folks after Game 7 were sitting there going, "Well, if we had Julius Randle in that series, it'd be a whole different series."
Yeah, I want to bring up something though.
Remember what y'all said last playoff season?
Exactly. Have the same energy.
Which Randall is showing up?
Yeah.
The one from the regular season that was like MVP level, or the one from last year's playoffs that was dog water level?
Yeah, that's what I say. Have that same energy about it. The question is, if you trade Randall, you need to get somebody of greater value. Is somebody out there for that? And the names that have been getting tossed around, Devin Booker,
Yeah.
Kevin Durant,
Oh, shit.
he was mentioned. I don't know how serious that was, but he was mentioned. Paul George, because they're planning on imploding the Clippers.
That's not a surprise.
And, I mean, obviously Donovan Mitchell. I mean,
So I'm looking at the free agents for this year. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but these are some of the notables. LeBron James is a free agent, although he does have a player option. So, yeah. Paul George, Klay Thompson, Tobias Harris, James Harden, Siakam, Gordon Hayward, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Buddy Hield, Bruce Brown Jr., Evan Fournier, D'Angelo Russell, OG Anunoby, and Gary Trent Jr., just to name a few.
yeah, so the Knicks will have to make some moves. The one thing is they do have draft picks.
Sure.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first year coming up that they have 2 in the first round in quite some time.
Ooh.
So that is an enticing piece to trade to a team to get somebody. It just depends on where they want to go, and especially if they go get a superstar that is potential for a max contract, this is where things get dicey. You're going to need somebody to come in and win immediately.
Right.
So they have to be very smart about this. And I'm going to say this. If they don't feel that they have that person lined up in their sights, re-sign Randall and run it back.
Sure.
Because Randall,
Low years, high value.
yeah, because the one thing about this is he's played with Brunson now a couple seasons.
Yeah.
They understand each other. They understand the game.
Yeah.
So you need somebody that's going to come in and mesh well and have that chemistry with the team. Would that be the same if Devin Booker came in? Is he going to be all right splitting time with Jalen Brunson?
Right.
I mean, this is a situation that the Knicks have to realize as they're going in. And I think that for the first time in a long time, the organization is looking at that.
Right.
Because if you bring in somebody like Devin Booker, you have to have him mesh well with Brunson. And
Right.
if you're not going to mesh well with Brunson and Hart and DiVincenzo, that's going to be a problem. So I don't know at this moment. I mean, my gut, I have a feeling they're going to make a trade.
Could be.
But I'm going to tell them right now, if they don't see that MVP, that one missing piece to get them over to the finals and beyond, don't do it.
Looked it up for this upcoming draft, the 2024 draft. The Knicks have, what is this? Well, they got the 25th overall pick in the first round, and then they also have where the heck is it? It's in the second round.
Okay.
They have one in the second, the 38th pick in the second round, which they got from the Utah Jazz.
Okay.
So they got 2 picks.
Yeah, all right. Then my apologies on that. I thought if I was mistaken, at least maybe if it's not this year, it's next year. They have 2.
Cannot look up next year.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible.
But the one thing that low-key everybody's forgotten about is they stockpiled draft picks.
Yeah.
So they have some assets to move. We'll have to wait to see how this all plays out because now we have Boston and Indiana in the Eastern Conference
Draft
Finals.
Bronny James. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, if LeBron wants to play in New York, at this stage,
At this stage, no.
No, I don't want to see that.
That window closed 15 years ago.
It closed a while ago.
Whatever it was when there was the decision.
Yeah. I just think that at this stage, the Knicks need to be smart, and I think they're going to keep an eye on the Boston-Indiana series because that's going to be their benchmark.
Yeah.
Boston winds up winning a thrilling Game 1, which Indiana had their chance to steal it,
Yeah.
and they dropped the ball.
They did not understand the assignment.
Nope, and you let Jason Tatum and company hang around and really get a second wind, they're going to take you out every time.
Well, and plus the thing, this isn't going to be a sweep. This is going, I want to say at least 6.
I think
just because going into the previous round, I would have said, oh yeah, if it ends up being Boston and Indiana, it's going to be a sweep. But watching what happened in Indiana and the way that crowd was for those games in Indiana in the last round, it's going to be feisty.
I'm going to say this. If this winds up being 2-0 Boston going into Indy, and depending on Game 3, I will say Game 3 is going to be the one to see how Boston reacts to that Indiana crowd.
True.
And if they show up, and let's say hypothetically they win by 20, it's going to be a sweep.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They'll take them out very, very quickly.
Yeah, if Boston, that's the thing. Boston's going to have to go in and win in Indiana.
Yeah, Game 3 is a more pivotal one than Game 2. Even if it's a split 1-1, if they wind up winning Game 3 and big,
yeah,
it'll be over in 5.
Yeah.
They're not going to mess around. I think Boston truly understands what the deal is.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that they have, like I say, they have the most pressure on them than anybody. So
this is their best year to do it.
They have to come through clutch. If they don't do it, then it's a whole different ball game. And then, I mean, can you imagine Boston, Minnesota, David meets Goliath?
Ooh,
Oh,
that'd be an interesting matchup.
that'd be a fun series.
Like I said, none of these matchups, like no matter which way you look at it, Boston, Minnesota, Boston, Dallas,
Yeah.
Indiana, Indiana, Minnesota, Indiana, Dallas, like none of them are sexy. They're not real. Ooh, that's gonna be one of the best finals of all time. But they're still gonna be good.
If it's Boston, Dallas, the storyline there will be Kyrie coming back to Boston.
Oh my God, I want it now. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. That,
Holy shit, I want that.
I'm going to say that could happen, and then get ready for the media blitz about that.
Woo-hoo.
So a lot of storylines happening out of the NBA right now. That being said, hit us up on that hashtag ODPHpod. What is your current take on the NBA playoffs? What do you think the Knicks are going to do this offseason? How is your team looking in this offseason if they're not still in the playoffs? Let's have that discussion, shall we? But first, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Time to talk a little pro wrestling.
Hell yeah.
A lot of things are happening in the WWE. They're making a lot of noise going into a very big weekend for them.
Yeah.
With the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournaments finishing up in Saudi Arabia over the weekend on the Peacock Network, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe. But please check your local listings on the Peacock streaming service. And let's get into it, Pat. Let's talk about it.
Also should note, SmackDown this Friday, airing from Saudi Arabia, so that'll definitely be something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
We'll see, given the recent history of international crowds. Saudi Arabian crowd, you got your work cut out for you.
I think they're going to be loud. I think
You got to step up.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't sure if they were pre-taping before they were going, but that's awesome. They're going to do a live.
Well, it's going to be live. It's pre-taped for us here in the States, but if you're overseas in the...
Like they did in France.
Yes.
Okay.
But no, regardless, you're Saudi Arabian crowd. Step your game up.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about the matches, and the first matchup we're going to talk about, this is in no particular order, just how I'm reading them online, is going to be the finals of the King of the Ring tournament with Gunther from Monday Night Raw taking on, to be determined on the SmackDown side. That will take place, obviously, this Friday in the finals between Randy Orton and Tama Tonga.
This is going to be Randy Orton to win.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that King of the Ring tournament, I'm taking Gunther. I don't care who comes out of the other bracket. I mean, I think what's going to happen is the Bloodline's going to get disqualified.
Okay.
So Tama Tonga is not going to take his first loss in the WWE. However, I think that Randy's going to be in very bad shape going into that match.
Okay.
And Gunther is going to have a defining moment.
Okay.
Which, I mean, like I say, with an announcement that we just heard off air.
Yeah, Triple H announced today as we record that the winner of the King and Queen of the Ring tournament finals will earn a championship opportunity for their respective brand at SummerSlam. So if Gunther wins this, he'll go on to challenge Damian Priest or whoever the title holder is by that point at SummerSlam. And then if it's whoever the SmackDown winner is, they'll go on to face Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. Flip side, same for the Queen of the Ring tournament. If it's the Monday Night Raw participant, they'll go on to challenge Becky Lynch, or Liv Morgan between that matchup. And then the SmackDown side, they'll go on to challenge Bayley. Well, we'll see. I like it. It's one of those things that adds a little sizzle, a little flair to the pay-per-view, and makes it mean a little bit more than, hey, you get to wear a crown for a couple months.
Yeah, I like how they're going back to that it was supposed to elevate you to get you a title shot. So this makes perfect sense. Yeah. I like Gunther in this one. It will be interesting to see who he's facing for the belt at SummerSlam, though. I'm
going to say Randy Orton. I feel like it's not hard to make a match for SummerSlam for the Monday Night Raw side. At this point, it's fairly easy. SmackDown, I feel like you need a little bit of work around and a little bit of stuff added in just to get it going. And let's face it, if it's Randy Orton versus Cody, I'm gonna say it's Randy Orton in the finals too. By the way, let's face it, if it's Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes, we're getting heel Randy Orton.
Oh yeah,
and that's gonna be amazing.
Well, they've been teasing that they wanted to do that for quite some time.
Yep.
So it does make sense. There's a great storyline that has not been touched between those two there. I just don't want to see the bloodline involved with the title belt just yet. It's like Cody hasn't had a chance to really run with it by himself.
Also, that was the story for like 2 years.
Yeah, so like I say, we don't need to add another chapter onto that story.
No,
we need to have a fresh
Let it do
one.
its own thing.
Yeah, but if Randy wins, I mean, that does put something together interestingly.
Then you have the Queen of the Ring tournament final with Lyra Valkyria
Yes.
on the Monday Night Raw side. Fate taking on, well, to be determined, because much like the men's side, the women's side is not determined because the semifinals will take place this Friday, and it is between Nia Jax and Bianca Belair.
That's going to be a hell of a match, too.
Uh-huh.
I like Bianca in that one.
Okay.
And then for the finals, Lyra Valkyria there,
Surprising.
shocking.
Yeah.
And she's always done great work in NXT. Mm-hmm. To see such a strong presence on the main roster, that speaks volumes of how high WWE is on her. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to say, I think she'll have a great showing against Bianca.
I do too.
But I think this is Bianca's to lose.
Okay.
Which is kind of a little interesting because her and Jade are tag team champions right now. But I think that's planting the seed for the dissolvement of their team.
I think it's going to be Nia Jax beating Bianca on Friday. And then when it comes to the tournament final, there's definitely a story you could do with Lyra taking on Becky Lynch. You know, the last couple weeks, there's been a budding friendship, a budding, mentor-mentee thing going on between the two of them. And sure, you could build that a little bit more and have it implode, but it's not quite ready yet. The oven's not even preheated yet for that to take place. So I think it's going to end up being Nia Jax winning and taking on Bayley at SummerSlam. It's an easy setup. It's an easy fix and an easy get things going.
Yeah.
Next matchup is a singles match for the Women's World Championship with Becky Lynch taking on the one-woman revenge tour, Liv Morgan.
Wow. This storyline
It's interesting.
It's picked up steam.
It's intriguing.
It's intriguing because Liv Morgan is doing multiple things right now, and I'm not sure everybody's picking up on this.
I picked up on one of them.
Yeah, her and
two of them, actually.
The Judgment Day.
Uh-huh.
And the Revenge Tour against Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Is one that it is planting a lot of seeds.
You got to be eagle-eyed to catch some of this, too.
Yeah.
There was 1 week where, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago now, where somebody was getting interviewed backstage. Dominic Mysterio came out of a door, and then about 10, 15 seconds after, Liv Morgan came out of that door.
Mm-hmm.
Follow up the next week, Finn Balor got out of a car at the start of Monday Night Raw, and then Liv Morgan got out of said car. Flashback to this last Monday. At one point in the night, Dominic Mysterio had on his purple bandana around his neck that you always see him wear these days. Later in the night, he's missing said purple bandana. Mm-hmm. Where is said purple bandana? Liv Morgan's pocket.
Yep. Yeah.
I love the storytelling and the subtlety they're doing with this because you are making me look at everything on the screen and I love it.
Yeah. This is elevating Liv up so much.
Uh-huh.
And I'm all in about raising her stock as a character.
Absolutely.
When she's healthy, she's really, really good.
She is.
And to see her bounce back from that really bad shoulder injury, this is only going to play into more for her to have a really good title run.
Mm-hmm.
I fully think she has it. She cut an amazing promo on Monday night.
She did.
That really solidified this feud against Becky, which I know everybody's kind of like up in the air about Becky's contract status and all that nonsense. Trust me, she's not going anywhere.
No.
I think
Seth resigned. She's not going anywhere.
Exactly. So everybody can calm down about it. If she wants to take some time off, she can take some time off.
Sure.
I mean, she just had the book come out. Maybe she wants to go do some things for that. Anyway, I think it all boils down to Liv is walking out with that world title.
I agree.
And that's going to be a fun little bit of storyline, too, because if Rhea Ripley is due back at some point soon, just wait for that.
Mm-hmm. Next up is a triple threat match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship with Sami Zayn defending his belt against Chad Gable and Bronson Reed.
Now, this has been an intriguing build here.
Bronson Reed is like the third wheel forgotten in this story.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say he might be the one that wins.
Okay.
Bronson is very, very solid in his role, and I agree with you. He's being overlooked. Everybody's forgetting about this because this is Sammy and Chad's story.
Well, and Chad versus the Alpha Academy.
Right, which, I mean, he's finally snapped into that Kurt Angle, Team Angle role that was done very, very well.
He's even getting "You Suck" chants on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, which is great for Chad Gable. I think we've talked about this in the past on the show. Chad Gable is such a great talent.
Yes.
And nobody knew how to use his character. Triple H does, and this is where you're getting the most out of him, and him and this heel persona is going to go very far.
Well, I mean, they knew how to use Gable when he was with Jason Jordan.
Sure.
And you had that tag team, and that was a great tag team for their run. But then, unfortunately, circumstances happened with Jason Jordan, and he got injured and was forced to retire. And then it's like they didn't know what the hell to do with Gable.
Well, the problem is Gable didn't have strong mic skills.
True.
At the time,
True.
he did not.
True.
Remember, folks,
Shorty G.
Shorty G. Need we say more?
For the sake of our sanity, no.
No. But this one, I think we're going to have a new Intercontinental Champion regardless.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if Sammy retains unless they want to have Gable win back over in the U.S.
I could see Sammy. I think it's ultimately going to be Bronson, just because, like I said, he's the forgotten third wheel in this whole thing, because you got Sammy, who's had a couple of interactions with him, but the bulk of the matchups and the interactions on screen and backstage have been with Chad Gable, and everything's been focusing on Chad Gable and trying to have the rest of Alpha Academy turn heel on him. I mean, there was the just vicious things he said to Otis and Maxine and Akira Tozawa, Monday Night Raw last week, that I think it's going to be Bronson. But at the same token, if you've got shenanigans ensuing with Sammy going on, and then the rest of Alpha Academy comes out because there's Otis, and is he remorseful for what he did during the match with against Sammy, or is he just pulling a Mark Henry retirement and faking everybody out, and he's going to turn heel, and then there's the rest of Alpha Academy with Maxine and Tozawa. I fully anticipate at least those two coming out for distractions and shenanigans ensuing. Otis, I feel like, is kind of the unknown which way is he going to go, because in the match, let's not forget, he slapped the shit out of Sami Zayn.
Yeah. And
he cost Sammy the match. But afterwards, later in the night, he felt bad. He apologized. Was he being honest, or was he just playing possum? We'll see. But I feel like whatever Alpha Academy, minus Chad Gable, because he's in the match, obviously, but the rest of Alpha Academy, what they do, that's going to be the intriguing thing.
I agree with you, too.
Because it's going to be a good match regardless.
It's going to be a great match. And like I say, I could see Reed winning here.
Sure.
Gable, the only reason I thought he might win back when in front of the U.S. crowd, because I think they're going to go heavy with the Olympics.
Yeah, probably.
And him saying, kind of rolling that to his heel persona. So I think they're waiting to do that in front of the U.S. crowd.
Could be.
But it's going to be a great match. And you know what? Honestly, I could see him winning here. But I'm going to say this could be Bronson Reed in an upset that nobody's seen coming.
Okay. Then lastly, and certainly not leastly, and what should be the main event, I would imagine, is a singles match for the undisputed WWE Championship, with Cody Rhodes defending his belt against the United States Champion. That belt is not on the line, however, in Logan Paul. Should be noted, according to Logan Paul on the Pat McAfee show and WWE socials today, he has given his brass knuckles to Michael Cole. Corey Graves is nervous about Michael Cole walking around armed all weekend, but for what it's worth, he might have a second pair. We don't know. But Logan Paul has given at least one pair of his brass knucks to Michael Cole, so he will not have the brass knuckles as a weapon, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I could definitely see.
I'm anticipating brass knucks.
Brass knuckles are coming out because
Yep.
ISO Sky.
I Show Speed.
Thank you. Apologies. I know like his entourage will be there in full force, so I could see somebody getting involved.
Paul will have somebody there.
Yeah, so that's why I say like he'll have somebody in
Wouldn't
there.
be surprised if his brother is there to kind of cross promote his boxing thing he's got going on in a couple months.
That's true. I mean, Jake Paul, I
see
could see him coming in there as well.
You imagine if Tyson shows up?
Listen, I'm going to say that's not out of the realm of thought, to be honest with you. That really is not, considering where's Raw going? Netflix. Who's hosting the Paul Tyson fight?
Netflix.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense to do that. But this one I think is going to be Cody Rhodes. But if anybody's doubting the status of Logan Paul right now, the kid's a bona fide superstar. Think what you want about his stuff outside of the ring.
Yeah, in ring, in the character work he does, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it's top notch. Like he gets the business in such a young age. He'll be world champion sooner than later.
Yeah,
which I know a lot of people are going to have a meltdown about, but watch what he does in the ring, folks. He's excelling at everything right now. And to see where he goes from here, this will be an interesting test to see. And in this case, I wouldn't doubt if Randy Orton wins, you'll have the standoff at the end of the match.
I can see it.
So it kind of writes itself.
Could see it.
Solid card, though, nevertheless. I mean, a couple title changes could be happening.
Could be.
And just overall, I mean, they've been putting on some great shows when they've been going to Saudi Arabia. So I know that crowd is going to be absolutely lit up and excited. And, like I say, they're going to be amped up for this. Between
London last year, Puerto Rico last year, and then the wonderful folks over in France, you got some high expectations.
Absolutely. But before we get out of here about this, there is some more WWE news that we got to break down.
Yeah, you want to talk about coming out of left field and confusing the hell out of everybody. This was announced today, and I'm reading from the press article on WWE.com. This reads, and I quote, WWE, part of TKO Group Holdings in partnership with Minnesota Sports and Events, or MNSE, today announced that Minneapolis will host WWE SummerSlam over 2 nights on Saturday, August 1st and Sunday, August 2nd, 2026 at US Bank Stadium. The 2026 edition of SummerSlam will be the first premium live event in Minneapolis since TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs in 2019. It will mark the first time WWE will host a stadium event in the city. In addition to the massive 2-night event, WWE and MNSE will deliver a host of fan and community events in the days leading up to and after SummerSlam. Quote, US Bank Stadium is an absolutely world-class venue situated in a city with rich wrestling history and an amazing fan base, said Chris Legentil, WWE EVP, Talent Relations and Head of Communications. We're excited to bring 2 nights of SummerSlam to Minneapolis in 2026. Another quote, US Bank Stadium is honored to host WWE's SummerSlam on Minnesota's biggest stage in 2026, said Michael Vekich, chair of the Minnesota Sports Facilities Authority. We look forward to providing a warm welcome and best-in-class experience at US Bank Stadium for WWE superstars, staff, fans, and guests, close quote. So we know where SummerSlam is this year. Cleveland, Ohio, at the stadium where the Cleveland Browns play.
Right.
We know where SummerSlam is in 2 years. It's in Minnesota. We don't know where SummerSlam is next year. So is this a case of, hey, Minnesota, we're sorry you lost out on WrestleMania. Here you go, consolation prize. Or is there something else to this? I don't know. It's weird, though.
It's an odd idea, but it does make a lot of sense in certain degrees. It has been rumored that London really wants to get a premium live event.
Oh, yeah.
But of the WrestleMania level.
Yep.
SummerSlam is in that conversation.
Also, summer in England is a lot more appeasing than April.
Yes.
Same for Minnesota. Minnesota in April, not appeasing. Minnesota in August, a lot more appeasing.
Mm-hmm. So I could see it landing there.
Sure.
I could also see it landing in Saudi Arabia because I know that they would like to have a premium live event over there.
A lot of talk. They want the Royal Rumble over there.
Yeah. There's
so something of that level. They're not going to get Fastlane or something like that in Saudi Arabia. No, they want one of the big 4.
Yeah. So I could see that going there. Or they're holding off for something else that we don't know about, that we're not even thinking about.
Could be.
It's the one thing with Nick Khan and Triple H in this era. Literally anything is possible.
Wembley 2 nights. Calling it now.
Well, if that happens, I mean, there's going to be a lot of angry...
the chatter online will be amazing.
Yeah, amongst the IWC.
Get your popcorn ready.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of chatter about that. That's the only thing I can say about that right now. But we'll have to wait and see. I think what they're going to do is, if it's going to be in Saudi Arabia, they will announce it at the King of the Ring.
Yeah, probably.
If not, they'll just announce it at Cleveland Stadium this year.
Yeah.
And boy, stay on the social media for that.
Or don't if you hate that stuff.
Yeah. But that all being said, it's going to be a fun weekend of WWE action. There is AEW action going on, too, if you want to hear about that. Wrestling Night Live, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Nerd Initiative YouTube and streaming services. You can always catch the replay and check that out as well, because there'll be a lot of content coming out from Rich, New Guy Nick, and yours truly about that. So Definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPH pod, though. What is your thoughts about King and Queen of the Ring this year? How do you think it's going to shape up? Who's walking out with the wins? Who's going to get the title shots? And, what do you think about the card in general? And then SummerSlam is going to Minneapolis in 2 years. What do you think's going on with that? Let's have that conversation, shall we? But we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sideroom Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna...
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. It's one-shot time.
Got a couple things to talk about, first of which is obviously the local minute, looking at the standings for the Eastern League and AA minor league baseball. Binghamton tied for first place technically. Technically, they're tied for first place with a record of 21-18. Portland right behind them, the record of 22-19. Binghamton, .001 points ahead in first place. They're ahead of Hartford in third place, who's the affiliate of Colorado. Portland, I should mention, is the affiliate of Boston. But Hartford has a record of 20-20. Somerset, who is the AA affiliate of the Yankees, also has a record of 20-20. Reading, who is the affiliate of the Phillies, has a record of 18-23, is in second to last. And then you've got New Hampshire, the affiliate of Toronto, in last place with a record of 17-23. Looking at their schedule they had from this past week, they had a home series against Bowie, I believe they're called the Bay Sox. Had the game on Tuesday where they won by the final score of 2-0. Came back on Wednesday, though, lost by the final score of 4-0. Thursday lost again 3-0. Lost on Friday 3-2. Lost on Saturday 5-1, and then won on Sunday 5-3. They're on the road this week in Reading playing the Phils. They won the game on Tuesday by the final score of 6-5. Lost last night's game by the final score of 12-7. Yikes. And then they play a game tonight as we record, 6:45 p.m. Eastern. Friday they play again at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. Saturday at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. And then Sunday, May 26th, they're at 5:15 p.m. Eastern. Then they return home for a series against Harrisburg. That actually starts on Monday because, hey, it's Memorial Day on Monday. So for more tickets, information, all that good stuff, bingrp.com. Then we got to keep it baseball related because there was a little bit of baseball news that caught my eye because this is going to go for a pretty penny. The jersey Babe Ruth wore during the quote-unquote called shot is going to be up for auction.
Really?
Yeah, so reading from an article on ESPN.com, it says, quote, the jersey worn by New York Yankees slugger Babe Ruth when he called his shot in Game 3 of the 1932 World Series will go up for auction in August, Heritage Auctions announced Tuesday. The sale of the Road Gray Ruth jersey, available to the public for the first time in 19 years, is expected to set a record for a sports collectible at auction where it could fetch upward of $30 million. According to Chris Ivey, Heritage Auctions Director of Sports Auctions, the auction is set for August 23rd through the 25th. The jersey last sold for $940,000 in 2005 with Gray Flannel Auctions. At that time, it was dated to the 1932 season and purported to be from that year's series. But the jersey has now been photo matched by My Gray Authenticated as the one Ruth wore in Game 3. Quote, there were a couple of things that helped this jersey stand out from previous seasons, said Jim Montague, My Gray's vice president of authentication. How the Y was positioned on the front of the jersey in relationship to the buttons and the placket on the jersey. Back then, everything was hand-stitched on. There are seamstresses putting names and numbers and stitching the collar. Stitching on the names in the collar, they're doing it by hand. When you see certain placements, you have something unique. They're not doing it the same 2 times in a row, close quote. So, yeah, before it was like, oh, hey, it's Babe Ruth's jersey from 1932. But now we know it's from that mythical game where he, quote unquote, called a shot. Whether he did or not is up for debate. But still, there's that story surrounding that game. And we know it's that jersey from that game. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to go for a lot more than $940,000.
It's going to go for a lot more, but I don't think it's hitting $30 million.
I could see it.
I mean, maybe, okay, percentage-wise, I'm going to say 30%.
Okay.
I honestly think they'll be around the $10 million range.
Okay.
and I'm curious about what billionaire is going to buy it. Maybe Elon Musk, maybe Jeff Bezos, maybe Zuck. But
I could see the Zuck doing it.
I could see Zuck doing it.
He's a big sports guy.
Right. So I could see something like that happening, but that's a lot for a jersey, and let alone you're going on, the good faith that is the jersey from that time.
Yeah, it's been authenticated.
I know, but it's tough. I mean, I don't know. Like, I would have, even if I had that money to do it, I'd struggle with it.
Sure.
I really would.
Then we got to talk a little bit of NFL news because the NFL schedule was released this past week. We're not going to go through the whole schedule, but just a couple of things. The one team we are going to go through is Pittsburgh Steelers. What did you do to piss off the schedule makers?
Whoa.
Listen to this. I'm not going to go through the whole schedule, but they got their bye week in week 9. Coming out of the bye week, week 10, on the road in Washington, playing the Commanders. Week 11, home against the Ravens. Week 12, on the road in Cleveland. Week 13, on the road in Cincinnati.
With Anakin Burrow?
Yeah.
If you see Joe Burrow's hairstyle that's going around right now, he looks like Anakin Skywalker.
Week 14, at home against Cleveland. Week 15, on the road in Philly. Week 16, on the road in Baltimore. Week 17, at home against Kansas City. And then week 18, at home against Cincinnati. That is the roughest stretch I've seen in quite some time. Good God, who did you piss off?
Well, 2 words, man. Let's ride.
Exactly. But some of the important dates we got to look at, specifically Thanksgiving Day. We do know those games. The Detroit Lions game is going to be against the Chicago Bears. That'll be 12:30 p.m. Eastern.
Makes sense.
On CBS.
Caleb Williams and everybody there, yeah.
Yep. Then the Dallas game at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox will be against the New York Football Giants.
Good.
And then 8:20 p.m. Eastern on NBC, it is going to be the Miami Dolphins taking on the Green Bay Packers.
Thanksgiving, all I need is love.
Then you do have another Black Friday game this year. That'll be Friday, November 29th on Prime Video, 3 p.m. Eastern. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City.
I was going to say that should be in the Raiders home game. That should be. That would be perfect, but...
Then we've got 2 Christmas Day games. These will be on Netflix this year, of all places. You've got the one I mentioned before. You got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. That'll be at 1 o'clock Eastern. Then 4:30 p.m. Eastern, you've got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Houston Texans.
Oh, okay.
So a couple of Christmas Day games. So yeah, definitely some stuff to check out, but exciting stuff from the NFL.
Yeah, I saw the Bills season. Did not look the worst. Opening with Arizona.
Did you see the Patriots one? Oh my God.
Yeah, that was.
They'll be lucky if it'll be less wins than last year.
Well, I mean, it's rebuilding time. That's all you got to remind yourself of.
Then we got to talk some entertainment news and some Marvel news specifically.
Yeah, this is really left field news.
We did get an update on the X-Men movie, and that the movie has landed a writer. Mm-hmm. That writer is a gentleman by the name of Michael Leslie. If you don't know the name, understandable. He hasn't done a ton of stuff. He's most known for being the writer on the 2015 Macbeth movie, the 2016 Assassin's Creed movie, and then he was also a writer for the most recent Hunger Games film, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. He was also a producer on a film called The Rescue, but some of his other writing credits, The Little Drummer Girl was a TV miniseries back in 2018. He wrote 4 episodes. Was a writer for the film Eleanor in 2015, was also a writer for the short film called Skirt, which was in 2012, was a writer for a film called Capture Anthologies, The Dimensions of Self, that was in 2011, then another short titled Airlock or How to Say Goodbye in Space in 2007, and then a short in 2005 called Heavy Metal Drummer. So not a ton of stuff, but I've seen Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. That was a good movie. So we'll see what happens with the writer.
Yeah, very interesting to hear that a writer was signed. I mean, this is coming off the heels of X-Men 97. So the mutant hysteria is really taking over pop culture.
Yeah.
So, but I was going to say he's relatively unknown to me. So I was going to say this really came out of left field for me.
Yeah. Then we do have an update on what's going on with Vision. And I'm talking the Paul Bettany character from the MCU.
Yeah, this was completely off my radar.
So this was announced just the other day, specifically yesterday as we record. And this is according to an exclusive from Variety. It reads, quote, Marvel has tapped Star Trek Picard executive producer Terry Matalas to resurrect Vision, the synthezoid played by Paul Bettany, for a new untitled Disney Plus series set for 2026. Variety has learned exclusively Bettany will return to the role, and Matalas will serve as showrunner. After Vision died at the hands of Thanos in 2018's Avengers Infinity War, he returned twice over in 2021's WandaVision. First as a spectral creation of his beloved Wanda Maximoff, played by Elizabeth Olsen, through magic powered by grief, then as a rebuilt nuts and bolts android with a ghost white appearance and zero memory of his past life. When the two Visions battled in the WandaVision finale, Wanda's vision restored the Ghost Vision's memories. Then Wanda allowed her vision to fade from existence. The new show will take place after those events, as Ghost Vision presumably explores his new purpose in life, close quote.
So there's two different ways I think they're going with this.
Okay.
There was a story written a few years back by Tom King that I really, really, really think fans should go check out.
Okay.
I think they're going to be borrowing a lot of source material from this.
Probably.
I think by the time this is all said and done, this is going to lead to Young Avengers.
Ooh.
I mean, obviously, we know Kate Bishop is still here. Kamala Khan is recruiting young heroes to fill in the role.
Yeah.
The Vision does play a part in the original comic series. How he would play in this, I think, is going to be a little different, but I think the seeds are getting planted.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. I was just surprised that they were going to do a solo Vision series.
Yeah, I am too.
This had been rumored because I know Wonder Man is now under the Marvel Spotlight banner.
Yep.
I was not expecting a full-blown Vision series. And the fact they're doing that, Tom King's story is the only one that I know that would really generate that kind of multiple episodes.
Yeah. Then we do have a Spider-Man animated series update of sorts. So reading from an article on ScreenRant.com, it says, quote, a Marvel sequel to the Spider-Man animated series in the same vein as X-Men 97 gets a positive update from one of the Marvel Studios executives. As 2024 marked the return of X-Men the animated series in the form of X-Men 97, it also opened the door to a whole era of Marvel animation. With several animated Marvel shows existing in the same continuity as X-Men 97, the Disney Plus series has already made it clear they are not afraid of leaning into cameos. In an exclusive interview with Screen Rant following the X-Men 97 Season 1 finale, Marvel Studios' head of TV, streaming, and animation, Brad Winderbaum, was asked about the type of surrounding the return of Spider-Man the animated series within the X-Men sequel. Following that, the reveal that Peter Parker had found Mary Jane Watson after Spider-Man the Animated Series sequel Season 5, Winderbaum was asked what the chances are for Spider-Man 98 to happen, and he shared the following, quote, it's amazing to see them back on screen together. I wish we could tell that whole adventure with Madam Web and figure out how exactly he did it. Maybe one day we as fanboys could certainly dream, close quote. Winderbaum was also asked if that is a plot line they have already mapped out because they want to tell that story through a potential Spider-Man 98, or if that is an arc they'd work on once they get there. He stated the following, quote, there's always potential, right? I don't want to close the door on anything, but I think that for now, for the foreseeable future, X-Men 97 will own the 90s, and how much we bring in guest stars or tell stories from other Marvel characters from that era is TBD. But it will be seen through that lens of the X-Men, close quote. So never say never.
No, I think they're keeping all possibilities open, but I don't think they would. I mean, we have to realize something. X-Men 97 Season 1 just wrapped up.
That's true.
I know fans are missing it already, but it's coming back. Let's wait and see. And before we started screaming, we want every single episode of everything priorly done in the 90s to come back. Like, let's just take a moment to soak in the greatness that is X-Men 97 before we start screaming we want more. Because I think that would just be oversaturation. That's the one thing, allegedly people are complaining about with superhero movies. Oh, too much.
Yeah.
Same thing would be animation. So let this one
Let it breathe.
Let it breathe.
Speaking of 90s and speaking of nostalgia, how's this for a nostalgia trip? I'm excited about this. Adult Swim is going back in time of sorts. They're doing a rewind block. Reading from an article on IGN.com, quote, Adult Swim is going back in time as it is set to launch a new Toonami rewind block on May 31st, 2024 that will feature such classic anime as Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z Kai, and Naruto. Toonami shared the news on Facebook with a video and the schedule of when fans can expect to enjoy this new programming. Quote, "We are happy to announce that every Friday, starting May 31st, Toonami is going back in time," Toonami wrote. "Say hello to Toonami Rewind, Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. on Adult Swim," close quote. The Viz English dub version of Sailor Moon will kick off Toonami Rewind at 5 p.m., and it will be followed by 2 episodes of Dragon Ball Z Kai from 5:30 to 6:30. Naruto will then close things out at 6:30 p.m. The article goes on to say, while the tweet has since been deleted, Anime News Network reported that Toonami co-creator Jason DeMarco confirmed that Rewind is really leaning into the nostalgic vibes, as it will also feature classic older Toonami music and some older packaging, close quote. Cartoon Network's original Toonami block ran from 1997 to 2008 and returned to Adult Swim on Saturdays in May 2012, close quote. Bring back the old bumpers that you can find these on YouTube of like the I'll show you one after the show, but like the bumpers they would do in between shows of like, oh, hey, instead of saying, oh, hey, coming up next, we got an episode of Dragon Ball Z. No, they'd show some clips, not from that episode, but just from what was currently airing. And it was the most badass thing I've ever seen. And this is right out of my childhood growing up that like I'd rush home to get home from school because at like 4:30, even like into 5, that's when the Toonami block would start. So you'd go for your anime that was going on. Dragon Ball Z was the big one at the time. I know Sailor Moon was on in some of the early days, Naruto later. But as somebody who grew up on Toonami and watched this, if I can go back to those days of just like rushing home to get home and watch this stuff, even if I've seen it 1,000 times, oh, fucking give it to me.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I mean, it's a great time of anime. So to introduce it to a new generation, by all means.
Yeah. Then we got some little bit of sports, a little bit of entertainment, video game news. We finally got a reveal trailer for the upcoming College Football 25 video game. Yes, folks, we're getting the first college football video game in 10 years.
Yes.
It looks amazing.
It looks incredible.
Oh my God. They're coming out July 19th for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S. Check out the video online. It's about 2 minutes. It's 1 minute, 56 seconds. It looks incredible. Some of the stuff that's going to be in it. You got pageantry and tradition. I'm reading from the EA.com website. Quote, revel in the story traditions, sights, and sounds that electrify college football stadiums every Saturday with unique team runouts, rivalry rituals, synchronized crowd chants, loudness meters, as well as real game day audio, fight songs, and, of course, mascots. It'll feel like home everywhere you look. And then it says commentary and broadcast. Listen to the iconic voices of Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit as they call marquee matchups, while Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, and David Pollock take the mic for all your other games. Take in the sights and sounds around the stadium between plays with dynamic picture-in-picture play call system. And you got the game modes that are coming to this. Dynasty is back. Create a coach, take control, upgrade their abilities, and build a powerhouse college football program. Establish your coaching staff, then work to recruit the best talent either straight from high school or direct from the transfer portal. Take your team to the next level in Online Dynasty, where up to 32 players can compete against each other on and off the field. So this is one you can either take your favorite university or you can take some random D1 school and make them a powerhouse, the likes of which Alabama is envious of. Road to Glory is back there. It's where you play as a student athlete and you go from like nobody to winning the Heisman. College Football Ultimate Team is in the game. So if you played Madden Ultimate Team or NBA My Team, same idea. Road to the College Football Playoff is in this as well. This says experience a new way to play competitively across consoles in the Road to the College Football Playoff. Will you represent your university or take a power school to climb the polls? Earn rank by upsetting the toughest opponents and securing the votes you need to progress and level up divisions. Stack wins and earn your chance at making the playoffs and take home the national championship. This looks amazing. I cannot wait. If I do end up playing online, which I don't play online much just because more of a single player guy, I'm warning you now, if you face me online, if I end up deciding to do online, I will be playing Penn State. If it is a home game, I am setting that goddamn atmosphere to the whiteout game because that shit's loud, and you're gonna have to go into that. Just warning you now.
Oh, I think there's gonna be a lot of people hyped up about this one. This one,
Coach Duffy is, I know, a friend of the show. Coach Duffy is going to be playing this as well. He's going to be busy messing with the rosters for so long that he might not get into a game before the next one comes out.
Yes, this is true.
He loves messing with those rosters, like putting a third-string quarterback at safety.
Shout out to Coach. Yeah, I can only imagine finding him online with us. So
Good luck.
maybe we'll have to go reach out to him wherever he's at these days and go chat it up with him about this. Oh, man. But, hey, this has been a great week, though, of comics. So definitely we cap off every entertainment edition, letting you know what to pick up at the shops. So, Pat, what did you grab this week?
I am grabbing Superman issue number 14 from Joshua Williamson. This is, quote, House of Brainiac Part 4. Ding, ding, ding. Superman and Lobo fight? The partnership was shaky at best, but now it's exploded. Lobo has betrayed Superman, and it's on now. Even if they stop punching each other long enough to save the day, it's too late. Brainiac has what he needs, and the Brainiac Queen is alive.
This issue is very, very intense. I loved it. I got a chance to read it, and yeah.
Oh, boy.
This is one that will not disappoint. The final pages are absolutely going to floor you. I'm just going to put that out right now.
Then you've got Nightwing issue 114 from Tom Taylor, because why the fuck would I not pick this up? It's Tom Taylor. The description of this is, quote, the Eisner Award-winning duo of Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo reunite to tell Nightwing's greatest story yet. The culmination of Heartless's sabotage on Nightwing reaches its dramatic climax when Nightwing loses his ability to leap, impeding his duties, to be the superhero we know and love, close quote.
It's Nightwing. It's Tom Taylor, and on the final stretch of him and Bruno's run. I mean, it's a must read.
Then from the folks over at Marvel, you've got Immortal Thor issue number 11 from Al Ewing. This has been a lot of fun to read. This one reads, quote, following up on the gods, GODS, periods in the middle of all those. Page from Immortal Thor number 1. Tyr has vanished, and there were whispers of cosmic forces at work. And so the children of Odin gathered in their father's name to search for one of their own. Regal Thor, fierce Angela, brave Balder, swift Hermod, quiet Honir, strong Vidar, cunning Loki, even Losa, the youngest of all were there, and another beside. Another whose name they feared. This is the story of the immortal Thor and the lost son of Odin.
A lot of hype behind this one.
That cover is nuts, but of course Alex Ross is on the cover.
Yeah, Alex Ross.
Enough said.
Yeah, that says it all. Now, a lot of people have been talking about this issue. I've not gotten a chance to check it out, but I hear a lot of mixed reaction about this one.
Then, lastly, from Marvel, you got Star Wars issue number 46 from Charles Soule, which I reviewed under Initiative this week. This reads, quote, Operation Rescue Mon Mothma. The fate of the Rebel Alliance has become intertwined with accused traitor Lando Calrissian. If he falls, so will the rebellion. Leia Organa must mount a desperate rescue mission if there is any hope of defeating the evil Galactic Empire. This story is all sorts of good and very interesting, and it gives a little bit of backstory insight into Mon Mothma you might not have known. Highly recommend you check this out if you're a Star Wars fan.
That's Charles Soule, enough said.
Then, lastly, certainly not leastly, from the folks over at Dynamite Comics, you have got James Bond, issue number 5 from Garth Ennis. This one reads, hot on the trail of the stolen Stelvoda compound, Bond finds himself in strife-torn Syria, where an old ally may be able to provide some new intelligence. But when 007 stirs up a local hornet's nest, the response involves every gun they've acquired and more than 10 years of civil war. Drastic action is called for as time is fast running out for the British agent and the world. Featuring a statuesque cover by Dave Johnson, 100 Bullets, Superman Red Sun, Deadpool, and intriguing interiors by 007 veteran Rafa Labosco, James Bond, Black Box. Part 5 of Your Cold, Cold Heart from comics legend Garth Ennis stokes the fire of celebration for a decade of James Bond comics at Dynamite. This cover looks like something out of one of the movies in the 90s, or even the Timothy Dalton movies in the 80s.
That's Dave Johnson, you said, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, no, he always does phenomenal stuff.
Oh, so. It's absolutely phenomenal. Like if you're a James Bond fan and you've seen not even every movie, but like you've seen some of the Roger Moore and even some of the Brosnan and Timothy Dalton movies, this looks like something I could see out of one of those movies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Looks amazing.
Yeah. My picks this week, I'm kind of bullet fire because I picked up a lot this week. So that being said, kicked off for me, Comixology Originals, Mistland number 2. So this is the kind of Game of Thrones-esque fantasy story coming from Stout Club Entertainment. Really fun issue. I would say like it's kind of tying into the murder mystery and to see the suspects and what happens to them. It really takes place in it's like I say, they're building for a lot in this series, so I'm kind of interested to see where everything's heading from here. DC Comics, this is bittersweet because this has been one of my favorite series in the past year. Alan Scott, The Green Lantern, #6. So this is the final issue.
Bummer.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that Tim Sheridan and Stian Tormey come back and with the same team and do this. Final issue definitely hits all the marks. Absolutely blow away series. Like I say, if you haven't picked this up, go make a point to do it. Go get all the variant covers. It goes to a great cause. We had the nerd on ODPHpodcast.com and podcast forum and Nerd Initiative YouTube for the interview we did with him. It's fantastic. And like I said, I can't speak highly enough of this series. I want more of it. I'm being a greedy fan, and I'm fingers crossed that we'll get that chance. But we have to wait to see about a lot of moving parts involved. But definitely go check this out. Go support the hell out of this one. Let's see. Over at Boom Studios. What can I say about the series that I haven't already said? The coolest series at the comic shop every time it drops. Grimm 17. Stephanie Phillips, Flaviano, Rico Renzi, and Tom Napolitano, one of the best teams, period, in comics. And this is the one, if you heard my interview with Stephanie Phillips, she was talking about, this is the issue entitled Boys Don't Cry. It's a absolute emotional gut punch, and it's a testament to the team. Like I say, they put on a hell of a story, deep diving into one of the fan favorites of the series. And like where it goes and where it finishes, man, it takes you on a journey, and this is something this entire run does. So absolutely love it. Can't speak highly enough about it. Everybody should go buy Grimm. It's a must read. Also from Boom Studios, Something Is Killing the Children, #37. So it's a deep dive. It's like a year one type deal into Erica Slaughter's past. So if you want to get kind of a deeper build as where she's going from the fallout from the fight with Cutter, this is a perfect issue. You jump in. It feels like a one shot as they're doing these, but it's a great issue nevertheless. Marvel Comics, 2 big issues on my agenda this week. Fall of the House of X 5. Now, Pad, are you ready for the Krakoan era to be over?
Sure.
It's coming to a exciting finish. I'm just showing Pad the cover right now.
What the fuck?
Yeah, this is the issue we've all been waiting for. It's the showdown between Nimrod and the X-Men.
Oh, okay.
And all bets are off. It ends on a just phenomenal note. And there's one more issue left before we get to X-Men 700.
Wow.
So put that into perspective. So this one wraps up this series on a very strong note. Rise of the Powers of 10 comes out next week. And then after that is X-Men Legacy numbered 700.
Nice.
And then we get the From the Ashes new wave of books coming in. A lot of excitement going on with that. So like it's a perfect time to be an X-Men fan if you're trying to get into the lore of it in the comics now after seeing the animated shows. And obviously after Deadpool Wolverine, it's a perfect time to jump in. So a lot of exciting things happening there. And then last but not least for me, actually, I'm sorry, 2 more I got. Blood Hunt #2. So this is the crazy crossover going on in Marvel Comics.
Oh, yeah.
With Jed MacKay and Pepe Larraza doing just amazing things here. So the vampires are loose and running crazy, and it looks like the good guys are getting a chance to come back. There is a shocking final page, so you definitely want to go check that out. And then, like I said, last but not least, we do have Cobra Commander #5, Image Comics, Skybound Entertainment. This is the end of the Cobra Commander story, the rise of his evilness and terror in the Energon universe. Great origin story. It really ends on a high note. Definitely one you want to keep an eye out for. And another one, too, from Image, too, before I forget. Blood Squad 7, #1. So this is an interesting series. It's gotten a lot of buzz going around it. And this is one that if you grew up in the 90s and you remember Youngblood by Rob Liefeld.
Oh, okay.
You remember the early Image days. This is almost like a bookend to that era. And it centers around a team 30 years removed that is coming back. And it's a very interesting story. I will say that. So I'm just going to kind of put it out there. If anybody checks this out, I definitely want to talk to some people about it. You're seeing a lot of sites are really hyping it up, and it's well-deserved too. It's just one for me that like I'm sitting there watching, and there's a lot of different elements going on, and this is almost like it feels to me like it's Youngblood 2.0, but it's like Youngblood meets The Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's interesting about the setup here.
Sure.
So first issue's out. Definitely don't mind talking to everybody about that. And if you're looking for even more reviews this week, nerdinitiative.com, over 30 reviews on the site and streaming combined. It's an amazing thing. Nobody's doing like we're doing. And we'll see what we do for next week. But like we say, until then, make sure you go hit your local comic shops wherever you're at, because nothing beats walking into a store on New Comic Book Day. All that said, anything and everything, it is the ODPH, ODPHpodcast.com. That's it for this week. So for the one and only Padawan J.
Fuck the Astros, and I almost forgot, almost the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise is finally coming to Steam, so I now need to invest in a Steam Deck. Playing Kingdom Hearts on the go. It has been a dream of mine for 20 some odd years. Starting in, when is this coming out? It's coming out in June or July. June 13th. My dream will finally be able to come true.
Let's make it happen, folks. Hit them up on the Patreon. We'll definitely make this happen. My name is Ken M. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH podcast. Everybody have a happy, safe Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. 'Cause anyone who's worth a damn be worth way more than a picture could ever show. You could find the right light, find the right angle, and never find your soul. And it can feel like a losing battle, and this plot is full of holes. This modern way of finding love just makes me feel so alone. And I can't be the only one sick of staring at my phone. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Don't know that I believe in the old time fable. Everyone has just one true love. All I know is you're across this table, and you're all I'm thinking of. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Talk to me. Talk to me. It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know.